Welcome back to Drafting with Mark, and in this video we're going to take a look at doing this one in Inventor. Now, we've done this part in AutoCAD both in 2D and 3D, so if you're interested in those videos, please go ahead and check out those. But in this one we're going to take a look at doing this in Inventor. Now, this one shouldn't take us that long to do. Very simple part. We're going to see that Inventor has some neat features, especially when it comes to creating slots. So we're going to use that to create this. Okay, so here in Inventor, we're going to go ahead and create a metric part. And we're going to be using just an IPT. So it's going to be a standard millimeter IPT. And let's go ahead and create this file here. So let's give Inventor a couple of minutes to go ahead and... Okay, so once Inventor is ready to go, what I'm going to do is create a sketch by selecting this icon here. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on this YZ plane. The reason I'm going to create it on this is because I'm going to be kind of extruding this from the side going towards this direction. So I'm going to be extruding along this x-axis. So I'm going to create my drawing here on the YZ plane. So I'm going to select this plane here. It should rotate around and you should see the words right. You can also flip this if it's not in the right orientation by using the flip handles located here. Okay. Let's go ahead and create this part, or just the profile of it. And what I'm going to do is start off just by creating this L shape. Right? This is one of the nice things about creating in Inventor or most of your parametric drafting programs is that you don't have to be exact in the beginning. You can just go ahead and kind of sketch things, and then you can let your dimensions drive it. So I'm going to go to the dimensions now. I know that this overall, or my longest distance here, will be 100. So now it zooms up everything. Let's go ahead and zoom all here. Zoom out just a hair more. Let's go back to the dimensions. Let's go ahead and dimension this line here. The height of this should be 50. We have a distance here set to 20. We have one more distance here that's set to 20. And then I'm just going to go ahead and kind of locate this in reference to this center dot here. So I'm going to place a dimension from here to that center dot, and I'll place that dimension here. Right, it's reading 30. I'm just going to go ahead and click the 50 and then divide that by 2. And I'm going to do the same on this 100. So I'm going to select this line here, select my center dot, place the dimension, and then select my 100 dimension, and then divide that by 2. Okay. So everything should change a different color, and you can see down here at the bottom right it's fully constrained. Let's go ahead and finish this. I'm going to zoom the extents again. Kind of zoom out a little bit more. Let's choose the extrusion. The overall length and width of this thing should be 120. So you're going to see that when this comes up, it's going to be kind of coming to one side. I can pull this handle here and give it the extrusion that I want. But the more accurate way of doing this is come here where it says distance A. I'm going to type in 120, and I'm also going to make this symmetrical about the center here. So I'm just going to click this icon here. It's going to make it symmetric, and I'll hit OK. Alright, so now if I take a look at that, according to these planes, if I look at the X plane, that's right in the middle, the Y one is in the middle, and the Z one. I do that just because if you're going to assemble this stuff, it makes it a lot easier for you to assemble. Let's next go ahead and put the fillets on here. So let's go to fillet. We're going to go ahead and select our first dimension here, which will be 20. I'm going to select these two lines. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and add another one. So I'm going to click this icon here. And then on my next one, it has a radius of 30. And then I'm going to select these two lines here. Alright, so now we have all of those fillets on. Let's go ahead and put our slots on. So I'm going to create a dimension or a sketch here. So I'll select here. And then I'm going to click the icon here with the little green plus. I'll go ahead and create the sketch. Let me go ahead and rotate this around so it's looking in the right orientation. And next I'm going to go ahead and project in a couple of shapes. So I'll go to Project Geometry, select these two lines. Alright, So what I needed there was just to get the center dots. These slots are located right along that center. Now the slot command is located here. So underneath the rectangle, I have a slot that has two centers, right? So two centers and a radius. I'll select that one. I'm going to click this endpoint here, and then this endpoint. And I should call them center points. Right now it's asking me for a radius. The radius that I have here is going to be 15. Alright, we're done with this one. Let's go ahead and go to Finish Sketch. Let's go ahead and choose the extrusion. This time we know that we're going to cut, so I'm going to select this icon here. And then I'm just going to tell it to go through all as my distance. Hit OK. And like we did on this slot, we're going to create the exact same thing here. So I'm going to select this icon, select the one with the plus. I should have said selected that face there. Then I'll go ahead and select the Project Geometry command. Select both of those. I'm going to use the Slot command again. Click on this center, and then this center. Kind of drag it out, and then type in the radius, which is 6. Let's do the Finish Sketch on this one. Choose the Extrude command again. And the same properties are going to appear here. So I'm going to go to Cut and tell it to go through all. Hit OK. Alright, so the 2D part of this is done. The next thing you're going to need to do is go ahead and save this. So let's go ahead and save this now. I'm just going to click on the Save icon. It's going to bring up in a dialog box of where I want to place this. Let's just call it an example 1. Go ahead and hit Save. It should change the name here at the bottom. And now we're able to go into the 2D drafting portion of this. So now I'm just going to click on the new icon here at the top. Once it brings open the dialog box, I'm going to scroll down until I see ANSI millimeter IDW, right? So I'm going to select this icon here. If I was doing this in AutoCAD, I can do it here, and it's going to create an Inventor AutoCAD file. It's not going to be an actual AutoCAD file per se, but the extension of it will be a DWG, so you're able to open it up in AutoCAD. But I'm just going to select the ANSI file here. Go ahead and hit Create. And go ahead and give it a second here. And usually by default, I think it makes it a D size drawing, but I will show you how to change that. We're going to kind of make this an A size. All right. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to come to Sheet 1. Let's go ahead and right click. And then we're going to come down to where it says Edit Sheet. Once you select Edit Sheet here, I can go ahead and change this and say, hey, make this an A size drawing. Once I do that, I'm going to hit the OK button. This is going to shrink, and you can see now that it says Scale, and it is an A size title block. We don't need this title block for what we're going to do, so I'm going to delete that by selecting here, do a right click, and then hit Delete. Now let's go ahead and start bringing in our part. So let's go to Base first. It's going to bring in my base part, and if I want this to be at this scale, that is fine. We can make it a little smaller if I left click and hold and drag this, and this will make it smaller, and you can see that is a half scale. Or I can type in a different scale number here. So if I typed in 3/4, I'm going to get a 3/4 scale, and I think that's the scale I'm going to leave this as. So I have a 3/4 scale. I'll go ahead and hit OK. I'm going to choose Project. It only has one view to select here, so I'm going to select this view. Then I'm going to project a top view, a right side view, and then an isometric view here in the top. Once I'm done selecting my last one, do a right click and hit Create. And now all of your views will be created. Let's go ahead and shrink this down. So I'm just going to double click on that edge. So I'm clicking on the edge here. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. So I'm going to make it 1/2. Go ahead and hit the OK button. And I should have changed the kind of background of that. So if you don't want it to look like this, I can double click on this again. And then I can just make this one shaded. Alright, let's go ahead and put some general stuff that we usually do. So I'm going to click on the Annotate tab here. Then I'm going to go ahead and put some center marks on here. So I'm going to go to Center Mark. I'll select that one and then that one. Choose Center Line. I'm going to select that line. And this line, right click and hit Create. Now I see that these are only kind of half, so I can kind of extend these lines out if I want them to. Or if the next time I do that, I can pick complete circles. So if I don't like that, let's go ahead and undo that. And if you want those to be complete circles, you got to pick more than a radius circle here. So if I wanted to do that, I can come and select these two, and you're going to see that it gives me a little bit more. And then you can do this, right? So just kind of depending on how you want it to look, I think this way is a little bit better. Don't forget to right click and hit create. Let's do it again. So I'm going to select center mark. I'm going to select these two arcs. And I'll go ahead and place a center line in between them just to connect them. And then hit create. All right, let's go ahead and put our dimensions on. So we'll go to dimension. Then I'm going to give it some overall dimensions. So from here to here, I'm going to go ahead and place that dimension. I'm not worried about how they look now. I'll come back and change that later. So I have these two dimensions. Let's go ahead and put a dimension here as well. And let's see, we only have one more dimension that I can put on this one. All right, let's do a little dimensioning here at the bottom. So I want a dimension from here. Let's put a height to locate that one. And then one more dimension here to locate the thickness here. Now, some of these dimensions, if you don't like where they are, and what I recommend you do is kind of, freehand sketch this. Let me escape out of that. I see that dimension is actually on the inside. Let's go back to the dimension. And remember on this one, it's the last one you pick which way it's going to, I'm sorry, the first one you pick is where it's going to place that dimension. So if I want that dimension on the inside, I have to select here first. And then here, it's going to place my dimension on the inside. All right. I do have a dimension in between here and here. And I see it that it will overlap. Let's zoom in and kind of do a little work here. So I'm just going to kind of move this over. Let's cancel that. And it seems like it's not going to let me move that over. So I'm going to play with some of these dimensions here. And there we go. Okay. Now, for example, you see these 220, where especially this dimension, I don't have to keep it there. If I place that dimension here, there is kind of no need to double dimension this, right? So therefore, I can get rid of that dimension. Some other dimensions that I can get rid of, say I have this 50. And now let's go ahead and place that dimension along this side. So it's just depending on how you want to play with this. If you don't want to keep your dimensions all on one view, sometimes it'll make it a lot cleaner if you utilize, another view. So for example, let's go ahead and get rid of that one. And now you can see that I do have all of my views, and it's really customary that you do put some kind of dimension on your views. All right, so we have all of our views done. Next thing we need to do is go ahead and set up our dimensions, right? So I'm going to go to the Manage icon, or the Manage tab here, and then select Style Editor. And we're going to give that a second for the Style Editor. So once it appears, we're going to just go ahead and suppress those trailing zeros just by unchecking this icon here. And then I'm going to go to my display. And this is going to tell me how I want my dimensions to look. And I think everything in here is okay. No need to change that. Let's take a look at the text tab. And this is the one that I'm going to change because I want all of my dimensions going horizontal. So I'm just going to adjust them here. Likewise here. And I really don't have to check a look at these other tabs, but you can kind of take a look at them. We don't have any of this other stuff going on. So once I hit the save and close icon, all of my dimensions should update. And that should be everything that I need for this drawing, right? Last step I'm going to do is zoom the extents. And now we have this created, right? So, I did forget those radial dimensions, didn't I? Let's go ahead and go back to the annotation here. And go ahead and put the radial dimension that's located here. And then we have one located here. And likewise on here and this one. All right. Now, I don't know if there's a way where I can kind of select all of these and see if I can edit them. And I just selected them all, and I don't think that we can do an edit right on the inside of that from here. So it'll let me do some of the things, but it won't let me kind of add that text that I need on here. And that's one of the things I was hoping I can try to get around, but I have to select each one of them and then type in 2x. All right. But I can copy this and then do a copy and paste on my other ones. So I'll hit OK on this one. I'll double click here. Hit the home button and just do a paste. So I'm double clicking, home button, Control V, close. And double click, home button, Control V. And then close it. All right. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I want to send a special thanks to anyone that's recently subscribed. Thank you for your support. And if there's anything that you want to see me do, or that I might not be doing correctly, please let me know down in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.